All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Um, Welcome to day three of the Machine Learning AI Agents Bootcamp. And over the past 2 days, we have been talking about AI agents. We have learned about different concepts of AI agents. From day one, we discussed the introduction to AI agents. We discussed the meaning of AI agents and talking about reasoning, what really makes an AI agent and an AI agent. So on the second day, I'll just go ahead and share my screen window. Okay, so on the second day, we went into a technical part of it where we looked at um, having understanding the basic concepts of I believe everybody can see my screen. Okay, so on the second day we went into building a simple agent that can execute tasks like function calling. So our speaker yesterday, Mr. Jeff, did justice to being able to teach and then show demo of calling functions, and that's not really new. As you understand, AI agents are built on top of function calling. They are built on top of tools, not just tools. The ability for it to think and the ability for it to execute tasks. So I warmly welcome all of you back to continue this AI bootcamp, and feel free to share this AI bootcamp currently going on. And then for the organizing and partnering communities, Python community, Anambra, Python community, Uyo, Computer Vision Africa, Dalens AI, New Lens AI, and the host community, Machine Learning Uyo. Thank you so much for making this bootcamp possible. So the flow is that after every practical session, let's say like today, for example, we are going to share out tasks, we are going to share out assignments. So the assignment was not sent out yesterday, in which we are going to send in today. So we just build more on the leverage we did yesterday. So there are recordings and the resources will be made available. But for today, I'm not going to go back, or I'm not going to give an overview of what has been done already. So for today, our speaker for today, Daniel Samuel Etukudo, I'm actually going to be the speaker for today. I'm actually going to be taking you guys on the session today. Today we are going to look at intelligent customer support agents, integrating transactional data, conver- conversational memory for context-aware service delivery. So, in the context of AI agents, we started from the introduction, and today we want to go a little bit technical. We want to now see how we can then use this to apply in real world. So, what we are actually going to build today is an intelligent customer support agent. Okay, so let's look at it like we are going to a particular we have a delivery system. We have a delivery system, and we want to build capabilities to your customer. We don't just want to have a customer agent, or let me say something like a virtual assistant that just answers questions, but we want to do something that you'll be able to do a particular thing, that is going to be able to look up transaction history, that is going to have context, that is going to have memory of whatever you are going to do. So basically that's what we are going to do today. So how does this now work? I wish I can do like a demo before I continue, but um before the end of this session, that is what we are going to build, and we are going to cover all. We are going to cover a lot of steps. We are going to cover the everything we need to know, as well as integrating. So this for today is going to be built on top of Gemini, right? We are building this on top of Gemini. Gemini is and we are using Gemini as the brain. So Gemini is the free open source. Gemini is a free open. It's not open source. Gemini is the free LLM we can use to give it the brain of whatever we are going to do. So without wasting any time, so this session is going to be we are going to have two speakers for this particular session. So I'm going to bring in. I'll just introduce our second speaker. I've already introduced myself, and I'm going to introduce the second speaker for today, Mr. Daniel Samuel, who is going to join us all the way from Kenya. He's the co-founder of Computer Vision Africa, and also is the CEO of New Lens AI, and he's also a senior AI engineer. So, Mr. Daniel, thank you very much for um, joining us on today. So today is going to be very robust, right? Going to be very robust. So at this point, I'm going to say, Mr. Daniel, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm on the call. I'm here.
Yes. Wow, that is interesting. So thank you so much for joining us. So before we proceed, looking at your track history, your record, we have gathered a lot of experiences running computer vision applications and starting from a local community in New York. And today, you are one of the leaders out there. I mean, in the AI field. Can you just tell us about your background, your journey, and how everything started?
Okay. Can you guys hear me very well? Is the background noise disturbing?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So for me, my name is Daniel. I'm from Nigeria. I recently moved out of West Africa and moved down to East Africa. Since then, I've just been moving around different places. I'm an AI engineer. So I would say like my journey started when in 2018 when I got to know about AI, and like I developed interest in learning artificial intelligence back then in Nigeria in Akwa Ibom State. Yeah, in Eket. So I started learning math, computer vision since then, and since then I've been building things around the computer vision space. And um, when LLM became a thing, I had to join the field, and then since then I've just been trying to work, and then recently started two of my startups. One of them, which is really doing well right now, New Lens AI, which uses LLMs to um, look at food and then tell you like look at food ingredient and tell you how to cook the food, teaches you how to cook the food, gives you instructions. Um, More like give you YouTube videos, Google videos on how to cook the food. Also, like if you give it a food, it tells you what food it is, the ingredients in that food, and how to make it. So I would say like in the AI space, everything has been revolving very fast since I started like this speed. I think AI is probably like one of the fastest growing field in the tech space. It's been growing very fast, and I would say it's very important for every one of us to first of all spend some time, check the breakdown back off a bit, look, whatever thing we are doing, get back to the background, learn like the math behind AI, because these things are really important. The math behind AI is machine learning, neural networks, um, um, learn all the algorithms, learn everything behind ML, and from there get back to learning LLMs themselves and agents. How did you? Marvel, can I answer the
Yeah.
question dropped? Huh?
So we have going through the comment section. We have Daniel. How do we reach out to you and support your project? So I'll just handle that. So maybe you can drop your email or your LinkedIn address in the.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop my LinkedIn right now.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to. Thank you very much for that insightful session. So Daniel has really been one of the people that have inspired me. So we started together, and he had to relocate to another region. So it was really like we do host boot camp together and the rest of it. So I don't just want to. So the reason this session today is really being practical is based on review. So I actually want us to start from a business case, then we move a business case into code. And what we are going to do today is going to be live. Like we are really going to appreciate what we are going to do to them. So, and if you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I'll be in the comment section to be able to answer some questions. So while today's session is really going to be practical, I really thought of starting the session from scratch and the rest. But since we have the code working already, I'll just go ahead. I'll just go ahead with I'll just go ahead and then we can start the session. All right, cool. So we have I'll just like show. All right, this is interesting. So customer support agents with Python, MongoDB, and Gemini. This agent accesses transaction data and maintains conversation memory. It integrates Python, MongoDB, Chroma memory, Gemini, and Gemini language model. So the agent we'll be building today, think I have, I'll just have to include it here. The agent we'll be building today is going to be, and is going to be a customer support agent that has access to not just respond to chats, but is going to track payment status. So as you are chatting with it, it can tell you the status of your transaction, if it is being completed, if it is pending, or if it's hanging for a particular status, or the status whether it has been declined. So now for the straps here, we are using MongoDB for the database, that is the payments data, and then um, we are using ChromoDB, that ChromoDB open source database for the memory and storage for the LLM, and then we have modules and we have scripts running on top of it. So I have it here, so I'll just continue. So project structure, we have config and environment, that is example config dot environment for the environment and project settings. So if you are following this tutorial, we actually not need to go to ai.google ai.google.dev to get your API key. Okay, and then but that is just by the way. So this is the studio where we have a lot of models, especially this is Google's AI Studio. You can find all Google's model here, especially in the model garden. So when you click on it, it's going to take you to a place you can prototype all your you can yes a place where you have access to all your details, all to your dashboard where you can try out different models. So then you can click on get API key. So it will now take you to, can now create generate API key and it will pop up on your screen. Okay. So we have the core modules to be DB module. This is the MongoDB connection file. We have the memory module. That is the, I explained this that the memory. Okay, for the memory we are using um for the memory we are using MongoDB, and for the LLM module we are using Gemini API. Then the main logic we have agent module. So the agent module now calls the agent module now calls all other modules. Okay, it calls the LLM module, it calls the memory module, it also calls the database module to be able to fetch for specific. So we see in a situation that if we provide a particular transaction or delivery ID or status or anything, any ID of our, let's say our delivery ID or payment ID, is going to extract the status of our, we are going to see before we end it to them. That is after going through the entire code. So next we have key features. So for the key features of this project, we have persistent memory. We are using ChromaDB. So you know, we all know that ChromaDB is an open source vector database. So we can initialize a new conversation. So each time we have a conversation with the agent, it has context. Okay, it has context, so you don't have to, it's not going to be like we are chatting with it afresh, or you know, we are starting all over. So you have MongoDB integration for the backend, that is the payment transaction ID, payment details, and the rest of it. So we also have Gemini NLP. So it processes messages and generates responses. So at the core of it, Gemini is the brain. So it's going to do what? It's going to answer, it's going to make us have a tailored human conversation like, hi, I am your customer service support bot. How do I help you today? Like, hey, I want to track my order. I want to track my shipping details. How about my delivery? I tell you, okay, so for me to be able to track your order history or delivery, can you provide your payment or order ID? Okay, your payment ID. And it will then do what? Get your payment ID, call the tool, search for it, retrieve information, and then save it somewhere. And it has memory, and then we continue. So on top of this, first we are going to, before I've actually built an API for it using fast API, and then a CLI for it. So you can just run it locally using your CLI. So you can just run it and chat with it in your command prompt. And then is via the API. So I've also added a front end for it. I've also added an interactive front end for it so that you can actually, you know, for those that are not technical, interact with it, and then you'll be able to see live results right there. Okay. So next we have installation steps. So you clone the repository, create a virtual environment, install the dependency, and I've already showed you how to get your Gemini API key. So I'll just go through without wasting any time. I'll just go through the project structure here. Um, I'll just I'll just walk us through the project, and then I want to take out my API key because it's very risky for me to share my API key. So I'll just copy it and then save it somewhere. Okay. So after now, the link to the repository will be made available. So usage endpoint. So we have two endpoints. We have the action whereby you send a message. That is when you actually chatting with the agent. you can send a message, and then you can also, we have another endpoint, get conversation, whereby you provide a conversation, you can see all the conversation using the conversation ID, and then you can delete the conversation. So the name of the file here is cli.py. So if you run that file, you'll be able to see it live. So now this is also this is like one of the most popular use cases of AI agents. Sample payment data initialized. So now if you look at this image here, you'll be able to see that AI agents is being used almost every day in tourism apps, in airports, in retail services, especially in even online stores. So I just created a mock data, or let me say a demo data, okay? Just created a demo data whereby we have this payment ID, pay 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 1 2, and then so for each of these payment ID, they have been initialized with smartwatch, they have been initialized with wireless mouse plus USB cable and the amount, and also they have been initialized. So this sample data is stored in the MongoDB database. Okay, so I can continue. I just have to keep on allowing more people to join the call. So next we have how the agents work. Yeah, so this is like one of the most let me say asked questions. Yes, you understand everything, you understand agents, you understand this, you understand that. So how does, at its core, how does this AI agent work? So now the first step is message received. So the user queries the message, the user queries the AI agent, right? The user queries the AI agent. So the AI agent receives the user's message and then check for what? For any payment ID using patterns, okay? It uses pattern to check for payment ID, and the text ID inside what? Every text. So now it now fetches payment info from the conversation history, okay? And then it generates response, and then finally it generates response with that is now context. So you add that context to the, it passes that retrieve data or context to the AI agent, right? Which to the LLM, which is Gemini. So we now have a personalized message, and then we update and store the conversation. So next, full calling process in detail. ID detection, okay, LLM find payments ID messages, data lookup. You look through the database to see if it to try to retrieve the payment details, memory access to retrieve conversation context. So each time you are chatting with you, there's conversation context, so it still remembers your name or something. And then there is also response generation and memory update. So we have explained this. Yes, so one thing I would really like to consider in this case is adding vision capabilities to our AI agent, okay? Adding vision capabilities to our AI agent. So at this point, I'll just, um, we are going to jump into coding right away. So I was thinking of starting from scratch, but I don't really want to start from scratch. So we have the repository here. I guess I'll just have to share. I'll just have to share. I'll share my screen so that the details can be updated, so that we can now walk through the repository together. So before I proceed, Daniel, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm on the call.
Yes, so from the perspective of adding vision capabilities to an agent like this, what would be your recommendation, or what would you say, or which approach would we use to adding vision capabilities to agents?
Um, I think for I'll just go with like a very simple example of what I did to Mulen's AI. I know normally people would be like to add vision you need to train, and because there was once a client came to me and then he wanted to build an AI model for looking at plants and telling if the plant is sick, and he was talking about LLMs and the rest of them. And one of the things he said was retrain an AI model that can look at different plants and tell us if the plant is sick or not. And then after that, we now pass the sick plants picture, sorry, the detection. We pass the detection to an LLM that tells us, oh, this plant is sick. I think we can go ahead to give it this drug, this thing, whatever. But from my experience, I don't think we really need to do those things with the rest of LLMs, agents, and the rest of other systems in place. You can just call your models, and then, for example, Gemini, OpenAI, they support visions. So you just call, and put in images as the context, then everything is good to go, and it can give you a response, and you prompt it in whatever way you want to prompt it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean that's really helpful. So I'll just jump right in and start sharing my screen so that I walk us through the code, and then it's pretty basic, but it has this conceptual pattern attached to it. So while I'm sharing my screen, okay, all right. So I'll just proceed right away, and then I'll share my window. All right. I don't want to share my entire screen. Okay. So please confirm you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, that's cool. So I'll just have to start from scratch, and um, clear this up, 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 clear this up. So we have the entry point to the application, where we have customer support agent here. Okay, so this is the entry point, and the arrangement of this file and folder is pretty basic. Okay, so first it's advised that we'll go through the readme, right? So I'll just preview the readme. Okay, I'll just proceed to the readme, and then we'll go through the readme and then follow it step by steps, and then we can now explain, test it out, and then I'll walk you through the code, right? So first, a simple but industry standard. So I don't want to really make it robust and very rigorous. It's a very simple modular approach you can use, and then adopt your business case, or business your business case or business okay. The repo link, I guess I'll just have to, let me see. Okay, so I'll share the repository link shortly. I'll share the repository link shortly because okay, let me quickly do that now. Let me push it to GitHub so we can have access to the repository. So I'll just go to document and then I'll just copy the folder, copy, and then go into okay, and then okay, so I'll just create a new repository here. Okay, let me just delete this. Uh, delete. Okay. All right. So I can now add it here, and then open with. Uh, sorry, I mean I can't really like expose my environment secrets and the rest of it. So I'll just git bash here, and then git add right git comments dash added a new agent, right? Yes, so you can do git push. Yeah. All right, cool. So I think it's live on the repository. Let me just let me stop. Let me share. Let me present a different screen so we can all test it out together. Present something else. Window presents this. Yeah. All right. So let's see this repository. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Yes. So this is the repository for the AI agent suite. So all the projects is here. You can see we have customer support agents, and then let me see, we go into this, we go into AI agent suite, you'll be able to see, yeah, so this is the repository, right? This is the repository we are using. So this is really, really beautiful. Okay. So I'll just share this link in the comment section, in the charts rather. So you can follow it live as we are going through it. I think I don't have anything really, really specific. So maybe just have to change from Gemini Pro to Gemini Flash. Yes, so I'll just drop it here in the chat section. Let's see repo link. Okay. All right. So I'll also do that. I'll also drop that in the group. So let me confirm. All right, perfect. Okay, good. So we can continue. So I believe everybody now has access to the code and the GitHub repository. So we can go through it together. Yes, and I believe you have been hearing and following me so far. Yes, please feel free to unmute your mic so that I can be sure that I'm not lost, or I can be sure that we are all on the same page. Okay, can I get like a thumbs up so I'll be sure that everybody we are on the same page. All right, thank you so much. All right, so I'll just go ahead and then present something else. Window, and then where's my. All right, so back to our code. Can you all see my screen? All right, interesting. Okay, so this is great. I mean, this is really interesting. We are walking through. I wish like we have an ideation session whereby we actually walk through a business idea where we come and start building it, right? So first is let's continue. Okay, a simple but industry standard customer support agent that can access transaction data and maintain conversation memory. This system uses Python with MongoDB for storing payments records, Chroma for conversation memory, and Gemini for the large language model. Project structure. So everything is just a single file because I don't want to. It's very simple and pretty basic. Then you can now build each module. For example, you can build LLM module into a folder or an external module. So you use this sort of like an MCP approach. So you understand. But for now, we just want to keep everything basic. So we have the environment variable setup, configuration settings. So for the environment variable, this is our environment. We have created e.env. So we have MongoDB URL. We have the database name, customer support. We have the collection payments, right? So here in do well to include your Gemini API key. So the model we are using is Gemini 2.0 Flash. Okay. Yes, Gemini 2.0 Flash, and we are going to continue with Chroma persist directory. So remember, Chroma is our database, our vector database, and we have the memory for conversation memory and number of previous messages to include 10. We just want to keep it simple. So if you want to deploy it, if there's still time, you can deploy this application, right? So we are done with that. So that is inside the environment setup. Okay. So now we have features, conversation memory. We have already talked about this, including CLI interface. So now installation, you just have to clone the repository, create a virtual environment, and then so in this case, this is the readme. When I look at the preview, I have my virtual environment, so I'll just install dependencies, right? Pip install requirements.txt. So I'll just go to requirement.txt where we have python.env, pymongo, Google Generative AI. So this is Google's AI SDK. This is Fast API. Remember, you're using Fast API, Pydantic Unicorn, and the rest of it, to be able to be able to um to be able to and then proceed. So I'll just power up my terminal from here. Okay. So if at all you have not installed, I'll just do pip install -r requirements.txt. Okay. So if this is your first time, it will actually take another period of time to install the dependencies. But if you can see here, everything is just going requirements already satisfied because I have already installed what we are supposed to do. Okay, I've already installed this, so I can now run this to upgrade the version of my pip. Okay, so while that is running, we proceed to the next step. So for the next step, we have the setup. We have to set up um, the virtual environment to our config.py, because the config.py is where we make all the configurations. So let's go to the config.py. So this is where we have all the configurations for our model, okay? And not just our model, but for everything. So here we have import OS from load the virtual environment, import OS. So here we are importing all the secrets from env. Remember all our secrets here. So for I remember I made mention of getting your API key from ai.studio.google.dev. So if you haven't gotten your API key, just go to ai.google.dev, get your API key, and then what, fill it here. So we are using Chroma DB. So I just wanted this to be easily accessible to everyone. You don't have to set up any complex process, right? So we now import this to the configurations, right? We import the Gemini configurations. This is the default. This is the MongoDB URL, localhost, and then we also have some important information like our prompts. Okay, remember we are remember our prompts, right? So you have our system prompts here. You are a helpful customer support agent for an e-commerce store. You can look up customer purchase information when they provide their purchase ID. Be friendly, be professional, and concise in your responses. But if you don't know something, say clearly and ask for more information if needed, right? So that is pretty straightforward. So this is the system prompt we are giving to the best to Gemini. So it will be able to act and think, okay, I'm a customer agent, I have to be very friendly, right? So next we now go over to our database module, okay? So we are using MongoDB to store our data. So we have here first import PyMongo from PyMongo client. From config, import MongoDB URL. That is this URL. If you click on this and let's say go to definition, we are going to have all of that inside here. So we can say, and we can proceed with something like, okay, after importing that, import our database name and our MongoDB collection. So dev import underscore, so we initialize the database, okay? You get payment by ID. We actually call this function, and then you pass in a payment ID, it will retrieve information. You can close the DB, okay? So it's just client.use, and then we can now initialize sample data. So because we are not loading directly from a particular vast DB or a particular vast database, we have actually initialized our database with some data. Okay, we have actually initialized our database with our data. So the data we have here is um, the payment ID, the customer name, as if we are trying to mimic an example data, right? We are trying to mimic an example data as if it has been there already. So for this particular, we create a sample data. So in this case, you can actually connect to a real database, right? You can connect to a real database. So we have we are now adding details into our database, right? So for each of the field, or when you are trying to make payments, your let's assume that this database is from the backend service, right? So using the payment ID, or each order or each service you make comes with your customer name, it comes with customer email, it comes with the amount, it comes with currency, and it comes with status completed, right? This is where, remember the features our agents have. and then items, premium headphones, quantity one, and then the date the purchase was actually made, right? So we can proceed with that. We also have another items here. We also have another entry, and the total is 75 US dollars. So status processing, okay. And then we also have another entry here, smartwatch, okay. Smartwatch quantity one, price. So if we initialize this model, so this is an example program, okay. This is an example program. This is a standalone module, meaning I can still run this program by itself. I can still run this module by itself. So I can comment it to still go ahead, code to still go ahead, and then do what? Go ahead to initialize. So this is already like 41 minutes. So I want to be as fast as possible so that we can go through everything and then we put everything together and we see how it works in real life. So I'll just go ahead and execute this. So you can say Python db module.py. Okay. So beautiful. If you can see here, our database has been initialized. Okay. So you can see connected to MongoDB customer support payment. We have created a new collection. Initialize three sample payment records, found payment. Okay, so now initialize. Remember, we are actually after initializing the database here. We now do what? We now initialize after creating the database. Initialize the database, and then we try to test the database, right? We try to get details by ID, and from this particular ID, we can see that we have what? We have premium headphones, right? Status completed. So this means that we have successfully set up our database component, and of course we have tested it, and then we can actually do what? Comment this out. We don't need it, but I'll just leave it there. Okay. Let me continue. I'll just leave it there. So we continue to the next one. On the next thing we are going to consider is, let me just take a preview at the let me just take a preview at the on at the readme file. um okay, so let's look at the llm. Let's look at the llm module. Yes, let's look at the LLM module. So from Google Generative to Gen AI imports Gemini API key. So you have actually created a class called LLM processor, right? And this handles interaction with Gemini API key for natural language processing. So if I click on this, it will take us to our configurations, whereby we got all the clients, right? We got all the where we have um all the configurations we made. So we now process message. Okay, we have user message, conversation history, and payment history. So now it processes a user's message and generates a response. Okay, so conversation history. When we are looking at memory module, we are going to cover the conversation history, and then payment info, if any. Okay, so it returns the generated response. So prompt is equals to underscore build or prompt, user message, conversation history, and payment info. So but and on the hood, if you look at, remember, these are just modules we are building. These are just modules we are building. Or should I say, remember on the first day, I made mention of functions being tools. I made mention of functions being um being being tools, being capabilities we are passing. So the first tool here is for it to extract payment ID. We also have build prompt, okay, and the system prompt is from actually this configuration prompt. So this is the regular expression we are using to extract. Remember that we talked about three types of agents on the first day of the bootcamp. We talked about code agents. We talked about text slash JSON agents, which which passes any information to identify which function to call. So we also have function call agent. Okay. So in this case, what we are I'll just try as much as possible to be very very fast because I really want to explain everything and explain the fundamentals and everything. So from here we have your search pattern, and then it's gonna be, then we now build prompts. Okay, after saying, let's say your payment is in the ID is not there, you can now do what? Build prompt. So we can now build prompts, pass in the prompts, pass in all the information. So if there is any payment information, we return something very, very useful. So sample payments, we are just passing in directly. As so we are not going to run this model because already in the environment variable, my API key is not active. So I don't want to finish everything first before I provide my API key. Before I provide my API key, so we can now go into hands-on. So next is memory module. This is like the most important part of it. So this is Chroma DB. Remember, we installed the Chroma DB utility, which allow us to be able to use Chroma DB function, right? Yes. So we can now create a database, an open source database here. And then class conversation memory, handle storing and retrieving conversation history using Chroma vector database. So we have dev init self underscore none, initialize the conversation memory, conversation ID, and then so you can add message to the database, and then self the collection, create collections. So this is being imported from the config file. So from add message, we have self the collection the add ID, and then we have we have add message, we have get conversion history. So we also have get conversion history, which is going to look through the open source database and then extract conversation. So these are just mappings to format it really well. So we have clear conversation. Let's say you want to reset, right? In some instances, you need to clear your database. So we have a utility that does that here. So we format your message for prompts, and then we have to set up our Chroma database, and we have to execute this file so that all these utilities will be created and our database is instantiated. So I'll just come here, or okay, I'll just execute this via the terminal. Python um db, okay, memory module.py. Okay, so we are creating the instance of our database. So you can see here we now have we have we have a Chroma DB here. If you check here, let me just zoom inside so you can see 1 2 3. So here we have an instance of our Chroma DB, of our vector database, which has been created, and we have embeddings, we have collections, topic, and then we have a whole lot of things inside the database. Remember, it's a vector database, so it's production grade. That's why it's looking, sort of like very, 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 very. So this is the conversation we have created, right? This is the conversation collection we have created, and then I'll just return it back 1 2 3. I'll just see the database name, dimension, database ID, and the rest of it. So this is actually the vector database for our AI agent, right? So we are almost there. Now, what you want to do next is you want to build the agent module. Okay, we want to build the agents module. All right, we want to build the agents module. So the agents will now combine everything together, right? The agent is going to combine everything together. The agent is going to bring the memory module, going to bring the database module, it's going to bring um, the LLM module. So now combine it together to reason, call processes, and then let's jump right in. So we could say from DB, so we are actually importing all of our files. We're actually importing, so from DB module, this is actually this is actually from the DB module. Remember, I said this, we are just using a modular approach so that you can just import and use the function. So class customer support agent integrate database memory and LLM components to handle customer support queries. So under the class customer support agent, we have what? We have DB. We have first self dot initialize, it initialize the database. Conversation memory initializes the from the database. It does like it initializes the conversation, the database, the memory, and the conversation ID. So now we now call the LLM processor class, right? So LLM processor is gotten from the LLM module, right? So on the agent module, we call it together, print customer support initialize. So these are logins. I don't want to really make it cumbersome because it's like step 3. And we still want to have everything really simple for production grade. So we have process user message, right? Yeah, process user message. So we want the LLM. I'll just go back to the README preview, and then I'll go back to how it works. Okay, remember here that the user needs to send a message to the API, right? And the first method here is to do what? Is to get that message and do what? Process that message. So this is where it's gonna write, process a user message and generate an appropriate response. Okay. So from the user message, it's gonna check if there is payment ID, right? You're gonna check if there is payment ID using self.llm extract payment ID, and then payment info is equals to none. So if payment ID is gonna retrieve, so if I mean payment ID, this is what I'm actually referring to. This is what I'm actually referring to. Okay, can you see this payment ID? Remember, we have three payment details in our database. We have we have uh, we have okay, let me just use the readme. I'm looking for, okay, so these are the different payment IDs which have been initialized in the database, and the particular product that's there. This is the payment ID that has been initialized with the data that has been there, right? So you can now check if there is payment ID. We do what? We continue, right? We extract all the information, format it, and then get conversation history from memory module. So this is actually a tool for retrieving conversation history. So the process of retrieving conversation history is also a tool from what our agent, the tool our agent is going to do. So self.memory format prompt, okay, self.memory conversation history is gonna retrieve what? Conversation history, okay. Then also call, it's also another tool for happening here, sending to Gemini for response generation. So you have response self.llm, and then we have process message, okay. And then we now add another tool called, I mean, this is actually like the first tool call, the second tool call, the third tool call, and then return response, okay. So you can also reset conversation and then we close what conversation. Wow. So this is an example. I'll just go and let me see. I don't actually expect this to work, but let me see what the response is gonna be. Oh, I typed the wrong thing. So I'll just exit this. Okay. So Python agent space module.py, and I'm expecting an error message because or maybe it's gonna start, hey, yes, to come. Hi, I need to start checking my order. Sending response to Gemini. Okay, so let's actually wait. So let me just take this up a little bit. Uh, so this is not even going to work, even if it's supposed to. I mean, you can get hooked here for a very, very, very long time. Okay. So before we go into while that is still loading, finally we have a main.py. So we have an API. We have an API for our agents because you don't just want to end it there. And this is one of the things people don't a lot of AI engineers don't do. You just build these models and they don't take it to production. What do I mean? Building this LLM, even if you have like 100% of accuracy, is not enough, right? Because you really need to do what? You really need to take it to production. Okay. So what next? I'll just I'm going to let me see. Do we have a response? Okay, not yet. So I'm just going to. I've actually used Fast API. So for those that don't know what Fast API is, Fast API is a very fast. And recently, and we're about adding Fast API Cloud to. The creator of Fast API is about adding Fast API Cloud that is going to allow us to, um, rapidly prototype and push your models to cloud at once. So you have import fast API modules. So you actually have to enable core so that it can be seen by another, let me say it can be seen by, it can be gotten from another application or another port. We have pedantic based models so now here is the thing about this customer AI research agent, sorry, customer agent. If at any time it retrieve data, okay, if at any time it retrieve your payment info, there is like there's a kind of table, okay, we are going to see shortly. There's a kind of table for it to just format your response and everything. So we are not just having a chat interface, but there's a place for you to, you know. So you have to add all local hosts so that we can allow middleware. We import the main. Okay, I think we have a response. Oh, we don't. So you import the middleware and then we mount the static directory. Okay, so I actually included a static directory here that is HTML and CSS to the front end, which interacts directly to the API. I think the most hardest part of this project was integrating this front end to it. I did not actually know that my host or my port was being used by another application. And I spent hours debugging and debugging and debugging and debugging and debugging until I finally did what? I got it working. So this is the front end. We are actually going to interact. You can see this is from our local host, right? And then typing. So now, and we have the JavaScript. So yes, I told you this isn't gonna work. So look at process complete. Agents, I am having trouble processing your request right now. Could you try again? Yes, so like I said, you have not, you have actually seen here from the tool call sending to Gemini response. We have error if generating response, time out of 60 errors, 60 seconds, last exception because you don't have the API key. Yes, and then whoa, we just stop. You're just there for a while. So we have added a front end. We have added an API. So I'm going to show you the documentation via fast API docs. So from there, we now initialize the agents, right? We create base model classes, and we have the first endpoint slash send message, okay, which actually takes in a message, initializes the conversation history, and we have the another endpoint conversation, and we also have the list conversation endpoint, and we also have home page, return static index.html, and then shut down, and then we have it on our local host. So I'll just power up this I'll just power up the API. Can say something like Python main.py. Okay. Okay. So we have like one more last thing to go. Uh, one more last thing to go. One more last thing to go. So we can see here we have the database set up, the agent set up in our local host. We have memory conversation. We have initialize. Remember that our three sample records, right? Conversation ID. So, and then I'll just open, but we won't be able to see it because like, I'm only sharing my, I'm only sharing my, uh, I'm only sharing my local, I'm only sharing my VS Code. So now let's go through this CLI. Let's interact it. So you have to open another instance here to interact with the API using the CLI. So I just open command prompt, and then so CLI means we want to interact with our agent on our terminal. We don't want to like, let me say, build we don't want to do something like we don't want to just interact on the front end because basically as an AI engineer, most times you just have to write the API. You don't need to go over and then or spend your time writing the front end. So how do we basically to type and use this? So and I'll just walk you through the CLI. So we have opened two instances. Actually, the CLI, you need to power up the main module. That is the API because the CLI is actually calling the main module. So we have here import class. Okay, created a class customer support CLI, and then we initialize it using the local host, and then we start. So when we start, so can now import CLI. You can see something like CLI interface, and then it's just a conversation flow, but there's no like UI or front end to it. So I'll just say Python CLI.py. Wow, that's crazy. That's really good. So let's see here. Customer support CLI type exit. So on the CLI level, you can just say hi. Okay. And so now, so far we need about, I just need to add my API key and get it working so we can actually see the demo so we can end this session. I mean, it's really time. So that means I have to change my screen sharing to share my entire screen so that we can be able to juggle between the front end, the back end, and then while I add my API key. So while I'm doing that, Mr. Daniel, so far Um, how do you see this AI agent, and how would we look at the modularity? Let's say we want to add more features. What do you think about it? Or what are the features you would like to consider for a customer research agent? Mr. Daniel, are you on the call? Okay, in that I'll just go ahead and then share something else. Okay, and let me get my API key. All right, copy. So I'll just go here. Um, okay.
You can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear the question of what I asked?
No, I think I lost like 30 minutes ago.
You did what?
I've been having like internet issue for like the past 30 minutes.
Okay, so what do you think about this project, and what are the features you would like to add? Or
Yeah.
let me say,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, you can go ahead. Let me add
Go
my
ahead, I'm
API
hearing.
key.
So I couldn't pay attention to much of um the project because I was struggling with my internet here.
Okay. So that's cool. All right. So I've added my API key. You just go back to main.py, and then let me present my entire screen. All right, cool. So can you all see my screen? All right. So my API key is right inside there. So I'll just delete this, and delete this. So I'll just go straight into terminal, and we're gonna do something like Python CLI.py. Let's say fingers crossed. I really hope this works. Hi. Oh, it's not gonna work actually because error. I haven't started up my my API server. So you have to go into command prompt and then Python main.py. So let's start up our server at first. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to give you opportunity to speak. I mean, feel free. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear
Hello?
you.
Okay, yeah, okay. I was like, how about this is just only about English. How about multilingual, like with different languages, features of like different languages that could actually translate to I don't know if you understand.
Yes, I mean. So this is just like to show you the basic step and basic flow. So you can as well do that. Add it. You can add it and make it do anything you want to do. So we have high fingers crossed. Yeah, perfect. Woo, our agency is active, right? So we have hi and we have agent response. Hi there. Thanks for reaching out. How can I help you today? What should we do in this case? I okay. Let's ask it something like out of context, or let's just continue. Hello. Yeah. So now look at this. I didn't even ask it, what do you want to do? And we have something like, hi there. Is there anything specific I can help you with today? Perhaps you have a question about an order, a product, or a store policies. Let me know. Right? So you can now ask you something like, okay, what is the meaning of AI? Yes, so beautiful. So now what we have hi there. While I'm here to help you with questions related to our store, your orders, I can I can tell you a little about AI, stand artificial intelligence. It generally refers to the ability of computer or machine learning to mimic human behavior, such as problem solving, machine learning, and decision thinking. If you have any questions about our product or our order history, let me know. Okay, I can say um what are you what do you do? Whoa! So we can see here, right? Hi there. I think this is the most interesting part of this session. Hi there. I'm a customer support agent for this e-commerce store. So the AI already suppose that I'm going to an e-commerce store. I am here to assist you with many questions or concerns you might have regarding our product, your orders, your store policies. I can also look up your purchase information if you provide me with your purchase ID. How can I help you today? I can say something like, I want to know all the info about my purchase. Okay, about my purchase order. So, so you can see that at this point, the agent say, "Hi there, I can definitely help you with that to access your purchase information, right? Could you please provide me with your purchase ID? Once I have that, I can give you all the details about your order." Wow, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful, right? This is so beautiful. So you can let's try and give it a wrong purchase ID. Let's try and give it a wrong purchase ID. Let's try and give it a wrong purchase ID. Let's say my purchase ID is 148. Or let's give it a wrong purchase ID 111344 dash EG. Right? Okay, so you have hi there. Thanks for providing your purchase ID. Please give me a moment while I retrieve the information for the purchase ID. I'll say, what what do you have? So now, here's the thing. To clarify, are you asking what items were included in that order, or perhaps you are interested in the order's current status, shipping information, or something else? Let me know. So, because we actually provided a wrong purchase ID, we have issues retrieving information about our purchase. So, in this case, let's actually provide um, a good purchase ID. Um, let's copy a purchase ID from here. Right. I'll just copy here. I'll be like, tell me everything about my other photo, and I'll text it. Whoa, beautiful, right? So you can see here that we have hi there. Okay, I see one the other ID in our agents. Let me just zoom inside. Hi there, I see other 111 in our this is so beautiful. This can someone take a screenshot of this and send it to me. You can I can see other ID in our system, right? Here is what I have. Customer Jen Smith amount 75 US dollars. Status processing item, right? Wireless. Oh, is there anything else you can tell me? Is there anything I can help you to? Okay, I want to reach out to the team. Oh, I made a mistake here. Sorry. So this is so interesting. So hi there. If you like to reach out to our support team directly, you can do by emailing us at support. So this is this is so beautiful, right? This is so now we now have to ground it. There's no much grounding. That is why we have this hallucination. There's no much grounding. So we just have to ground it with our own words, with our own data. Well, I believe like we have been able to, I think this is so interactive. This is so interesting. I just have to screenshot this. Yes, so next, remember we have exit to quit and reset to start a new conversation. So I'll just reset, right?
Yeah, just the add dot to this thing. So
Yes, so I'll just reset and then
my head,
exit.
when my head is opening,
Oh, that
everything
was really interesting.
everything is guys, this is very
So
interesting.
I'll just type exit check. So goodbye. You can
No
actually see
more.
the agent actually told me what goodbye.
Oh,
So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean that's pretty basic, but that
this is
is just the CLI. That is just the CLI game of it. Let's look at a dash. Let's go to a dashboard and look at all our API calls. Let's look at all our API calls. Look at all our API calls. Look at all our API calls. Let's actually go to yeah. So all the code you need is inside this repository. For our presentation,
I don't
yeah, I
know.
think we have actually done justice to this.
I
So
also want to work
lastly, this is like the most interesting part of it.
with
We are going to look at it how it looks like on the front end, right?
that.
We're going to take a look at it on the front end. So you just have to end the server, and then before we end the server, let me just quickly go to our local host, and then let me just forget about it. So uh let's go directly to okay, let's look at what we got. So we are gonna start back the server. Yes, before we start back the server, let me show you something. Let's open another instance of the terminal using this bash, and then we are gonna do http dash. Okay, we have to cd into the static directory, the http dash server, and then we have our HTTP server up and running. What have to use the particular IP address? Let's open. Not secure. Can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Okay, so I guess this is bound to this particular IP address. So that's why it's taking a little bit of time, and then I'm good. I believe you can all see my screen, but I can't see it on the other of this my side here. Just to
Yeah.
confirm that you all can see it. Okay.
What type of AI agent? Yeah.
Ah,
That's the question. Yes, you want to use the ball.
so I'll just try to refresh this to see the refresh rate. So if you can you see my screen? I just want to be sure because I can't see it here. Okay, you can see my screen. Okay, what is currently there on my screen? Okay, so I'll just continue. Hopefully, I don't miss out on this demo. So we have enterprise support. I mean, this is really yeah. Okay, fine. I can see my screen. That's beautiful. So you have enterprise support, customer research agents. You can see here currently offline payment info, conversation status, and these are logged because I was actually using it to debug. And then you can also have this one. So the most important thing here is that we can see here that the bot is what? The bot is offline. Why? You can tell me why the bot is offline, the agent is offline. Yeah, so it's because we haven't started our server here. This is just the front end server. You have to go to the agent server and then start up Python, mail, .py. Oh, we are starting up our server. It's so interesting. All right, cool. So we have some locals here, Gemini 2.0, Flash, and the rest of it. So what we want to do next is we are now going to go back to our web application. Let me propose to you that if I refresh this, oh wow, you can see here that what our bot is currently online. Okay, you can see here that no status information is there, and everything looks good. API checks okay, and the rest of it. So you can see something like, hi, whoa, this is beautiful. So we have hi there. How can how can hi there, how can I help you today? So if you actually look at conversation status, you can see that we have an action conversation, we have the ID and the start time it started.
Even though
I want to find out more information about my purchase. Only I can just say something like who are you? Eh? Who are you? Okay. So let's assume I don't have an ID and I'm here for the first time. You can see something like I'm a customer support agent for our e-commerce store. How can I help you today? Tell me, can say, tell me how you can be of help. Tell me how you can be of help. All right. Wow. So I can help you with things like answering questions about our product. This is pretty important because remember our system prompts, right? Let's go back to our system prompts inside our config. What is the first thing here? We are helpful customer support for an e-commerce store. you can look up customer purchase information when they provide, right? So that is why it's always prioritizing this, the first thing, this, the first thing. So going back to our web server, okay, so you can see answering questions about our product, looking up other information if you a purchase ID, and then I can say something like I can say something like I want to find out more info about my purchase order. All right, and then you can see a response here like okay, I can help you with that. To look to look up purchase order, I'll need the purchase ID. Could you please
AI
provide
support
that?
agent. Okay.
So
You
because
don't need to
like
stress
you're already
yourself.
please someone
Don't
should
need
take
to stress
screenshot
yourself
of
to
this.
go and start
I
looking
really
for.
need it, right? So I'll just at this point you don't need to go back to our server.
Start looking
Everything you
for
need is already there. So I'll
the
just go
product
back
you need.
to the
Start checking.
call.
All you just have to
We'll
do
go
is
back to the call
you
and then present something
snap,
else.
send it to the AI support agent, and then the AI support agent look it all up to you, and it also tells
So let's go back to the call, present something else. Window, where is our agent? Microsoft Edge star. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Boom. Enterprise support portal and share. All right, this looks pretty cool. I'm super happy. And you can see here that we have view tab on the. Oh, you can't see this. Sorry. I actually thought you can see the. Maybe I'll just drop it in the chat section. I actually thought you'd be able to see the different port IP address and binding. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost there, and I'll just have to provide. I'll just have to let's go back to our README file. Let me get purchase ID. Let me get purchase ID, and then we can go back to our agent and then say something like, "Oh, you know what? Here is my purchase ID." And let's see what's gonna happen. Beautiful. So you see the magic, right? So the first thing first is okay, thanks. I found purchase, blah 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 with the purchase ID. This order, this order for 129 US dollar was placed by John Joe and includes 1 unit of premium headphones. The payment status is completed. Is there anything else um I can help you with regarding okay, I can tell you, give me all the details. And you know the thing that I'm really happy. This bot is really like it takes about it does all this calculation in milliseconds, right? It's super fast. You can just click on this and you're like without processing. Oh, it now provides what a detailed information about everything. So I mean, this is really great. This is really great. I mean, I haven't really like improved on the front end or something. I mean, I'm not even a front end engineer, but then something special also happened. Or let me say, if you look at payment info, right? You look at payment info. Let's look at our conversation history. Look at payment info. Be able to see here that we have what customer John Joe amount $152.9, date it was placed, status completed, items $1 phone, and then we have our logs and API call, but that is not even supposed to be here. So I'm just going to just going to screenshot this, screenshot this, screenshot this, screenshot this. So so I'm just gonna continue to screenshot this. So this is cool. So we can, even if you want to provide another API call, even if you want to provide another API, let's look at another purchase ID here. Another purchase ID. Okay. How about this order? Right. So you can see here, it has updated our purchase status, and you can see that this one is actually what, pending. So if I bring in the last purchase, which was a smartwatch, but take note of the fact that here was actually two items. So the two items has been uh, the two item has clearly stated that this is okay. I can also say check this for me. Check this for me, control V. Yeah, check this for me. So before I click enter, let me quickly go back to this, and I'll just take some screenshot fast screen. So I'll just take out some screenshots. So I'll just continue, and then you can do something like okay, check out this order for me, and boom, completed. Okay, so you can actually see that this order was, was as fast insofar as completed. So ladies and gentlemen, and we have come to the end of this session, and I believe we have done justice to building an AI agent, that a customer research agent that has access to, that can now provide info about our purchase, our orders, and retrieve information. So I can just do something like tell me everything you can do. Tell me everything you can do. And of course, we're just on top of it. That is why the agent has responded with this. I can just print this, and then I'll go straight to the session. So boom. So the GitHub is there in the repository. I mean, we all have code to running this. We have seen the steps, the methodology, the function calls, and the rest of it. So thank you so much, everybody, for staying up to this moment. Daniel, unmute your mic. Join the call. We're almost wrapping up. So, what can you say about and what are the future? How do you see the future of AI agents? Yes, Daniel, are you on the call? Okay, so probably is engaged now. So since we don't have any other question, so we have spent close to 2 hours already. So if you have any question, you can send it directly to any of our social handles, right? And even if in the Gmail, via email, via the groups, via the WhatsApp group, or you can even email the team, TensorFlow Community Video at gmail.com. So in the absence of any other question, I'll just end the screen, and then we can call it a day from here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. All right, bye, everyone.